Hi, I'm John Heller, and this is my take on the 1970 USC versus Alabama football game, the game that changed Alabama and college football forever. This year, the University of Alabama football team has won yet another national championship. Alabama has been national champions in 4 of the last 8 years, which is incredible. What a well-run football school. The Heisman Trophy is awarded to the best college football player in the nation. This year, there were 4 Heisman Trophy finalists, and Trevor Lawrence was favored to win the award, and he was one of the finalists, along with Kyle Trask, who had a great year at Florida. The 2 of the 4 were from the University of Alabama, Mac Jones, the Alabama quarterback, and this year's winner, Devonta Smith, who is an amazing Alabama wide receiver. And only a handful of other receivers won that award. Today, I would like to discuss Alabama football, but my main focus will be on a game that was played 50 years ago. Some say it was the most important college football game in history. At the end of the 1969 season, the NCAA allowed teams starting in 1970 to add 1 additional game to their schedules. Legendary Alabama head coach Bear Bryant approached one of his best friends, USC head coach Mr. John McKay, with an idea. Bear Bryant invited John McKay to bring his USC football team to Alabama to start the season. John McKay accepted the invitation on the condition that Alabama would come to Los Angeles to play USC the following year. So what made this game so significant was that this was the first time a fully integrated team, the USC Trojans, came to Alabama to play an all-white team, Alabama. USC's team has been integrated since the 1920s, but the University of Alabama admitted blacks to its school only a few years earlier, and there were no black players on the team. Remember, this is only 7 years after Governor George Wallace stood in the schoolhouse doors of the University of Alabama refusing to allow black students to enter, which is shameful, and only 6 years after the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, which of course Martin Luther King was involved in. The University of Alabama football team was one of many in the SEC conference that denied black players the opportunity to play football. Even then, the Alabama Crimson Tide was a pride of the South, with dominating teams winning national titles in 1961, 1964, and in 1965. The game it will be playing in 1970 against USC will be closely watched throughout the South and the whole nation. Some of the black players are fearful of going to the Deep South, not knowing what might happen, and actually brought weapons with them on the plane. When they arrived in Alabama and rode the team bus from the airport to their hotel, and the next day to the game, there were crowds of black citizens greatly cheering them on. The USC football team was not only integrated, its quarterback was black, as were a number of their star players. When the game was played, it ended, unsurprisingly, in a Trojan rout of 42-21 USC victory. Alabama fans sat there in stunned silence watching their team lose. The story behind the story is what's most interesting. Bear Bryant really wanted to recruit black players to his team in order to continue to compete at the highest level. But unfortunately, he was unable to do so without the support of his fans. By having the fully integrated USC team come to Alabama and showcase in front of Alabama fans, it became obvious that in order for Alabama to be competitive, they had to integrate their team too. It worked not only for Alabama, but after this historic game, for teams throughout the South. Alabama played USC the following year in Los Angeles with a black player on their squad. Alabama beat USC. By 1972, the captain of the Alabama football team was black. Coach Bear Bryant and the Alabama Crimson Tide went on to win 3 more national titles in 1973, 1978, and in 1979. Bryant's record of 323 regular season wins, 85 losses and 17 ties broke the record for most games won by a college coach, an almost 80% winning percentage. But most significantly, arranging the most important college game ever played, which had a huge impact on race relations in our country, is what Bear Bryant and the Alabama football team should be remembered for. This is a story on how sports can bring people together. And that is a beautiful thing. Ultimately, Alabama's football team became one of the winningest college teams ever. And for that I say, Roll Tide! Heller, out.